Hello, amazing scholars. You're welcome back to class. In today's class, we shall be analyzing the poem The Nation's Paradox, written by Abdullateef Ishowo. By the end of this class, you should be able to memorize the poem, describe the structure of the poem, explain the message of the poem, identify the poetic devices employed in the poem, and lastly, you should be able to explain the theme of dereliction of duties. You may be wondering what a paradox is. A paradox is a statement of something that seems senseless, but when closely examined, it has sense and truth in it. The poem The Nation's Paradox, written by Abdullateef Ishowo, is a free verse poem. That is, it is a poem that is not divided into stanzas. It has a total of 12 lines. Now let us look at the poem. We are a people of a nation where leaders don't lead, followers don't follow, executive don't execute, legislators don't legislate, judges don't judge, guardians don't guide, singers don't sing, dancers don't dance, teachers don't teach, professors don't profess, students don't study. Now you can see why this poem is a paradox, because the lines of the poem sound funny and perhaps senseless, but when we look in-depthly into this poem, you would understand there is a great message within the lines of this poem. The poem paints explicitly a picture of Nigeria and its failed systems. The poet points accusing fingers on certain individuals in sectors and industries whose failure to carry out their duties and responsibilities have led to the retrogression in Nigeria. The poet says leaders don't lead, that is, leaders don't perform their duties as leaders. They are indifferent to the plight of the citizens, but only concerned about what they will make out from the country. The poet also says that followers don't follow, which implies that followers don't take instructions from their leaders, neither do they obey rules governing the society, thereby resulting in insubordination that is rising or fighting against authorities. The poet further says that the executive don't execute, the legislators don't legislate, judges don't judge. This line implies that the executive arm of the government, which is responsible for implementing laws, the legislative arm of the government, whose duty is to make laws, and the judges who are meant to judge, all of these arms do not perform their duties as they ought to, which consequently results into moral decadence, corruption, insecurity, amongst others in Nigeria. The poet says that guardians don't guide. Here, the poet accuses parents and guardians who do not pay attention or give more time to their children to ensure that they are trained and brought up in the right way. This is one of the reasons why moral decadence is prevalent in the country, because those who are meant to be guardians don't guide their words and children. Singers don't sing, dancers don't dance. This line shows the failure of the entertainment industry in Nigeria, as music produced are meaningless without moral lessons. Singers sing for singing's sake, Why dancers who also dance to music, meaningless music, dance inappropriately and meaninglessly. The poet also criticized the educational system in Nigeria, pointing out that teachers no longer teach. Teachers are no longer motivated to impart knowledge, but motivated by the remuneration that follows. Same applies to the professors in the higher institutions, who only sell materials and give topics to students but never explain. Then lastly, the poets criticize students who are not ready to study their books but engage in several vices such as examination malpractice, prostitution, cultism, among others. All these deficiencies has resulted into high rates of mediocrity in Nigeria. This is what the poem The Nation's Paradox is all about. Moving on, we'll be considering the poetic devices employed in the poem. There are three poetic devices employed in the poem. They are repetition, alliteration, and paradox. Repetition is clearly seen in the poem. The word don't is repeated from lines 2 to the last lines. Now lastly, we're looking at the theme dereliction of duties. This is the major theme in the poem. The poem basically criticizes certain individuals in different sectors who do not perform their duties due to their irresponsibilities of these persons mentioned in the poem, such as the leaders, the followers, the students, the guardians, the parents, have led to moral decadence, corruption, insecurity, among others, which are now the order of the day. This is what the poem The Nation's Paradox is all about. Thank you for watching. See you in the next class. Bye.